actually record the WebEx session itself.
Okay.
If you want to go up to meeting and then start recording.
Okay.
And then.
Do you want me to start at 5 or do you want me to do it now?
You can do it now. This is just more or less a backup in case any of our other options fail.
Okay.
And then one of the options should be like just to the WebEx cloud or whatever. It can just be recorded there.
Okay. Record in the cloud. Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
And then so now it's recording, and then when the meeting ends at the end of the night, it just stops recording automatically. So.
Okay. I don't have to turn it off.
No.
Okay. Sounds good. Hey, Tim. Oh, you're muted. That's the phrase of the 2021.
Oh.
Good to see you again.
Yes, ma'am. I'd rather hear that than some of the other phrases.
I think I'm going to get maybe cross stitch a little thing to hang in my office and just put just for a memory, you're muted. And then 5 years down the road, see if people still know what that's referring to, but I'm sure they will. Everybody says it. Hey, Steve.
Robin, hi everybody.
Steve, good afternoon. Quorum tonight, Robin?
What's that?
Does it look like we have a quorum tonight?
Not yet. Let's keep our fingers crossed. I gotta turn off my other Wi-Fi stuff just in case. Sometimes my connection is not great. So we've got 3. So hopefully we need to get one more. And Nicole won't be joining us. She's out of town. Jenna Cayley did accept the meeting, so hopefully she will join us. And who else am I missing? I think Steve accepted also, Steve Lindoff, so we should be okay.
Oh, I think is he?
I didn't hear from him. He did not accept the meeting, so I'm not sure. Let me check my emails. Sometimes we get technical difficulties.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, yes.
All right, very good, thanks.
What about Brent Beam? Is he here tonight?
He is logged in. There he is.
I was being facetious.
5 seconds.
Oh, is that right? Oh.
Well, we can't start yet, Lucas, because we don't have a quorum. So we'll just, if you can hold on. We need one more person.
I don't know, but for me, Steve, you're really, really low.
He's low?
Yeah, the volume, when audibly, I'm like,
when I was talking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I could barely hear you. I have to really focus and concentrate to hear you.
Yeah, I've had this problem with my computer, so I'm not sure how to fix it, but if I got to talk, I'll get right up into the mic.
You should see me we've been doing some new training. We've got some new software for our plan review and our planning stuff. And I have really bad eyesight when it comes to the fine print. So I'm literally like this, looking at the screen so I can read it. Cause they do the little pop-ups and I'm like, I cannot read that. Oh, there's Steve. Good. Okay, Steve, Lucas, we have a quorum now, so we can start recording, or excuse me, we're recording, but we can start the meeting.
And so
Okay,
you do it.
go ahead. Yep,
Okay.
go ahead, Chair.
So do I just have you call the meeting or request a roll call from Mrs. Houston, please?
So you have to call a meeting to order first, and then we'll do the roll call.
So I'm sorry, I'm going to call this meeting to order, and then can we get a roll call, Robin?
Certainly. Steve Moore,
Here.
Brent Beam,
Here.
Steve Lindos,
Here.
and Tim Stone.
Here.
Okay. Just double checking to see if anyone else joined us yet. Nope. Okay. You're up, Tim.
Yep. And do I move to the agenda items, or do I move
Yep.
to okay. So does anyone have any agenda items and any motion to approve any agenda items?
No.
Make a motion to approve the
Current agenda.
Was that a second from Lindos?
Yes.
Okay.
And then do we take a vote on that, Robin?
Yep, roll call again. Steve Moore,
yes.
Beam,
Yes.
Lindos,
Yes.
and Stone.
Yes.
Okay. I heard a beep. I wanted to see if somebody, nope, still same people. Okay. Next item.
And so I get next item is that from our past meeting minutes or meeting minutes from March. So do we I guess in my mind then are there any changes needed to those minutes, Robin?
You tell me. Anybody have any corrections to my minutes from last month?
No.
And so can we get a motion to approve minutes from last month's meeting, March?
Move to approve meetings from March.
In a second.
Second to approve meetings from March. Meeting minutes from March.
And can we get a roll call?
Moore,
Yes.
Beam,
Yes.
Lindos,
Yes.
and Stone.
Yes. And are there any citizens to be heard tonight?
It does not appear that there are any calls on the line right now, Chair Stone.
Are we anticipating any calls?
We might, you never know.
Okay.
Usually for the agenda items, not for anything other than that.
Okay. And so do I just request, do we move into the agenda items or request for the public hearing at this point, or?
Right, you just move to the public hearing section and just start with item number 1 and open that public hearing.
Okay, so just motion that we open the public hearing for item number 1 on the agenda tonight.
Second that.
I need a motion first.
Right.
So was that Brent?
Yep. Brent motions.
Move. Okay. I'll move to continue on to the agenda items.
And then we need a second.
I'll second open a public hearing.
Chair Stone, should we do like we usually do and just have somebody assigned to the motion and have somebody assigned to the second?
Yes, I think that's a great idea.
Any volunteers?
I'll
Brent
do
for
the
the
motions.
motions?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll struggle through it.
Okay. And who's this? Who would like to be the second?
Take the second.
Okay, Brent and Steve. Okay, that just keeps it a little simpler since we're doing the virtual meetings still. Okay, so then we have to do a roll call to open the public hearing, Chair Stone.
Yep, can we get a roll call, Robin?
Okay.
Yep.
Moore,
Yes.
Beam,
Yes.
Lindos,
Yes.
and Stone.
Yes.
Okay.
And with that said, Robin, if you want to introduce the item.
Sure. So we have a request from Diamond Rock Development LLC for a conditional use permit for 2724 12th Avenue South. The applicant's requested this conditional use. As you recall, you approved a rezoning for this property, a rezoning, a comprehensive plan amendment for this property last month for a self-storage facility. So now the applicant has come back for that permit. We've received one public comment since the last public hearing, and that was just to talk about some of their concerns for this particular use. And those comments are included in your report. The same commenter also commented that she would like condition 3 be more definite by stating fence and landscaping buffer rather than fence or landscaping buffer. But the language at the end of that sentence talks about or a combination of both as approved by the city planner. And we usually, we work with the developer or the applicant on how to meet that condition and through once they submit the building permit. So I don't think there's any need to change that language. I think what's the language that's in there covers what the applicant, or excuse me, the commenter was meaning. Staff is recommending approval of the conditional use permit with the related findings of fact subject to the 9 conditions listed in the report, which those conditions were generated based on the public comments that we received about, hours of operation and screening and screening, fencing, trying to preserve the trees, etc. If you have any questions, let me know. I believe the applicant is on the line, Mr. Rude. Have any questions, applicant?
This is Brent Beam. Realistically, how many of these trees on this property could actually be saved at all? Anyway, they look like they're kind of right in the middle of where you want to put everything.
I'll let Mr. Root answer that. We were thinking tree preservation, anything that was kind of on the property line or straddling the property line. And I haven't been out to the site in that back area. He would could answer that better than I could.
Yeah, hi, it's Riley. I've walked it a couple times. And yeah, there's a lot of trees out there in the front third of the property.
Right.
Simply I'm setting it back as much as I can on the side. It's one, it's a cost saving measure, to not have to remove the trees. I see the neighbor commented. I know on the west side, there's pretty good tree line. I anticipate I would have to remove like 0 of those that buffer though. I think there's I actually don't know what they use. There's a commercial storage something, and then as you move north, as you get towards, there's a tree line. Now, what condition it's in, if any of them are dead, and I'm not sure whose trees they even are, if they're on mine or if they're
right.
But I guess I'm a fan of keeping as much as I can. There's some in the center of the property that are going to happen, but
Of course, right.
Other than just my word that I'm going to remove is, and every tree is obviously labor and for either me or paying somebody to get rid of it. And if we can shift them laterally to make it work, there isn't anything that I ditch of any significance. So probably
Right.
shift this and to the east, and then which ends up giving a little more of a setback to the left side neighbors anyway.
Okay. And then looking at the draft concept rendering on page 8, it looks like the thing's, excuse me, pretty well maxed out. Is that still an accurate sort of representation of what you're trying to achieve? You're showing effectively not, it looks like 9 buildings and maybe 1 little office.
Yeah, there's 9 buildings. It has changed a little bit. There isn't going to be a separate like site, as part of the buffering, or I guess I don't know what the word is, principal building language from separating the view of the storage facility. I'm going to address that up in the center. And I just got them yesterday, a drawing of that, but I guess there's a impervious surface coverage issue. I'm trying to balance some of that with MPCA because I end up covering and creating, the site is so not developed. It causes an issue for me to, if you create another acre of impervious surface, I'm going to have to either create a couple retention ponds or get it underground.
Yeah.
I haven't gone far yet, obviously, get through today, but the design will likely change based on the either having to put a couple ponds in or 1 pond somewhere on the site, or or tanks. But my gut is the pond is probably going to be the likely case if I end up developing it to that level.
Yep. Okay. I don't really have any other questions. Thank you.
Chair Stone, I have a question. So, Mr. Rude, I appreciate you coming to answer questions. This is actually just similar to Brent Beam's question in terms of trees. One of the ideas, and it sounds like you're very cognizant of trying to buffer the neighbors, especially to the west. And, would you be willing to essentially, if you're taking down some trees, replace them with trees that then would be used for buffering? So in other words, maybe not say you're going to preserve the trees, but you're going to preserve what you would say the tree biome. So replacing trees that you have to take down with new trees.
I have to see what's out there because I'm pretty positive that entire west side is solid trees on that. There's a pretty good sized solid fence. I don't know if it's new or it's not new, but whatever is left for me, as I plan this is where am I going to put snow and how I'm going to move stuff around. Depending on what I do preserve, because there are some pretty good sized ones out there as well that I don't want them falling on the building at some point either. So yeah, if I take out, on the north end, there's 1 property that I'm abutting, and then I'm doing this from memory here, but on the left side, there's 1 as well in the cul-de-sac. Yeah, I guess just in general, having replacement trees, but until I really see what's usable and what isn't, we haven't really been to the site much to take a look. Everything's been dead and it's winter there, so I'm not sure what's living and what isn't.
Thank you. Yeah, and when I look at it, especially if you have to put a retention pond, if you were to situate that in the northwest corner, that would also help with setback from the residential properties. So it sounds like there's a lot of planning that still needs to be done.
Yeah, until you get approval here, the general concept, I need, to pay a civil engineer. I'm meeting Friday morning, assuming that this is how it was supposed to go, and then get it designed accordingly. Where the money actually comes out of my pocket to start getting a serious plan in place.
Yeah.
And I guess for me, I just want to say thank you, Riley, for your time, and it's good to see that site being developed. My only quick question, staying in that same vein, is that I guess just kind of addressing what Robin said earlier, and Robin, I don't know if you can answer this, or I don't know how important it is, but you were talking about the one commenter was suggesting both the landscaping and the buffer, but correct me if I'm wrong, planning units, part of the landscape requirement, do not count towards the planning units required for the buffer, correct?
The screening, technically the screening landscaping would count towards on-site plant units. It's the boulevard trees that don't count, and like a parking, if there was parking, those wouldn't count. But what I would think we could do is, once the site, if he was approved for his permit and he clears the site and then he's like, oh, we had to take out some of these dead trees, then we would just work with him. It's going to be a fence. We're going to have a fence, and hey, there's a little bit of a gap with some trees. Let's put some immature trees in there, and eventually those will grow and kind of fill the gap, maybe where some of the older trees are removed. But we're not going to know that until he gets out and starts clearing his site. And if he has to do a pond, there's going to be that much more buffer between the townhomes and the so it's kind of an unknown, but
Right.
we in the planning department have worked with this developer quite a bit. So I think we can come to an agreement to make the neighbors happy. And I'm sure the developer wants to make the neighbors happy as well.
I agree. And like you said, I think the final design is up to Mr. Rude, but with approval from the city of being compliant. But I'm just thinking off the top of my head, the fence is definitely probably helpful for security purposes for a storage unit in my mind, but I don't know. I'm not a storage unit expert, but thank you. I guess.
Chair, at this time, we do not have any public calls, so we can move on to that next item.
Not a problem. And didn't do it at this point. I guess, do I move to a motion that we close this item or public hearing?
Yep.
So motion to close the public hearing?
Second. Or move to close public hearing on this item.
I second the motion.
And can I get a roll call, Robin?
Certainly. And just as a note for the audience, Jenna Cayley has joined the meeting. Jenna, we're doing, Brent is making the motions, and Commissioner Moore is making the second motions, just for your information. Okay, Moore?
Yes.
Beam?
Yes.
Lindos?
Yes.
Cayley?
Yes.
And Stone?
Yes. And is there any other discussion from the commission?
No.
Motion to approve.
I'll move to approve the conditional use permit for Diamond Rock Development on the site in question.
Second.
And can we get a roll call, Robin?
Moore?
Yes.
Beam?
Yes.
Lindos?
Yes.
Cayley?
Yes.
And Stone?
Yes. And so do we move to open our next agenda item? So motion to open the next agenda item, which is the Thor Investments, the rezone from NC Neighborhood Commercial to CC Community Commercial. And then the second item, I think there are two items, comprehensive plan amendment to the Neighborhood Commercial to Community Commercial.
Move to open discussion on conditional use permits for let's see, the Thor development.
I think it's a rezone, correct?
Rezone, okay, for a rezone for Thor development.
And then conditional permit, is that right?
Are those two separate items or just?
Comprehensive plan amendment.
The comprehensive plan amendment also by Thor.
I second the motion.
And can we get a roll call?
Moore,
Yes.
Beam,
Yes.
Lindos,
Yes.
Kaylee,
Yes.
Stone.
Yes. And Robin, can you give us an overview of the project, please?
Sure. Thank you, Chair Stone and Commissioners. This applicant has requested a rezone from neighborhood commercial to community commercial and a comprehensive plan amendment from low-density residential and neighborhood commercial to community commercial. These properties have remained vacant since they were platted in 1964, and the request is closely aligned with the existing businesses and structures at this corner. As I mentioned with the previous item, 2724 12th Avenue, which is just to the east of this site, was recently rezoned from neighborhood commercial and to community commercial as well to help the redevelopment of that parcel. The applicant has indicated a proposed use of shop condos, which if you had a look at the site just to the corner, basically diagonal from this site on at 12th Avenue and Main, there are some shop condos that this developer also built. And we have had some other developments around town of this type of unit. The shop condos are already permitted in neighborhood commercial, so technically he could, apply for a building permit and get approved. What is his request for the community commercial is just to open up the uses. Neighborhood commercial is a little more restrictive than the regular community commercial. There's a few uses that would not be allowed to go into the building, so he's just making sure that, he has, when he sells the condo units, that they're open to more users. We did receive one public comment today, and that was from the representative of the Meadowview Townhome Association, which it's 10 townhomes straight across Apple Tree Lane, and they kind of go up on the cul-de-sac there. And their representative expressed the concerns regarding, so I'll just kind of go over the items that we talked about. Was the overhead doors facing their units, possible noise from the units, the in and out traffic from the site, the number of driveways, lighting from the site, and depreciation of property values, and then the glare from the rooftops. I did talk to her, and I had mentioned that I would speak to the developer before the meeting if I could get in touch with him, which I did. So originally the developer was proposing to site the building facing Apple Tree Lane. Let me see if I can share my screen here. That's not it. He gave me a revised site plan, which just to share this is just for demonstration purposes. Let me find it here. Here we go. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is, instead of doing one longer building backing up to Main Avenue, he shortened the buildings and made two buildings. So those buildings would face each other, the overhead doors would face each other instead of facing east towards the townhome units. And then, the noise would be directed more on site instead of across the street to the the residential area. The lighting probably issues would be addressed. The lighting would be towards that middle paved area. We could also put some landscaping towards this northeast corner to block any further view shed from the units across the street. But this is a rezoning and a comprehensive plan amendment, so we can't put conditions on it, but, so this was just a suggestion, and we can certainly work with the developer. He wants to, work with the neighborhood to try to make this site work. And then the developer is on this call with us, so he can certainly answer any questions. I'm gonna stop sharing this, but I can bring it back up if you need to see it again. Mr. Thorsness is on the WebEx as well if you have questions of him. Otherwise, I can answer any questions as well.
So I guess this is Steve Lindas, and I have a question if anyone else does. And I'm not sure if this is, I guess, more of a, zoning it all community commercial. If we're just going to do shop, it would seem like you could go to neighborhood commercial, rezone it to that, and which would also then assuage the neighbors' concerns, especially if that's what it's going to be used for. And then it sort of provides a transition from community commercial to neighborhood commercial to a residential. I don't know if that's kind of a question comment. So this is really more towards Mr. Thorson, if maybe he could interject of why community commercial would be needed for his plans.
One of the reasons would be that it limits, you can't put a carpenter in there, you couldn't put an electrician in there, you couldn't put a plumber in there. All their stuff, electrician, plumber, they don't store stuff outside. So you're just cutting out a few of the people that we don't allow auto already in any of my developments, because I don't want the smell, I don't want all the parking, I don't allow people that paint already, because it just affects the neighbors. So it's more about that it stops a few people that we do allow.
Okay, so
really
that's really useful information. I didn't realize that plumbing and electrician were not allowed, and I absolutely love electricians and plumbers. So I think most of the neighbors would also appreciate those. And so the other question I had is in terms of impervious surface. It looks like, especially with that orientation, that you might need to address that. And Robin, that's probably more for you.
Yeah, that would be addressed during the plan review. Mr. Thorsness is aware that community commercial has an 85% maximum for impervious, and I'm not sure how stormwater would be addressed because we haven't talked about that yet, but yeah, that will be addressed during plan review.
There is no stormwater requirements.
Oh, that's right, because it's less than an acre.
I already talked to Andrea about it.
Yeah, he is over an acre.
Okay.
It's under an acre. Okay. That's it for my questions.
And I guess, Mr. Thor, we appreciate your time here. And I don't know, are there any other comments from any other commissioners? If not, then do we move to close this public hearing, Robin?
We have not received any calls. Hold on one second. Looks like Commissioner Beam has lost his audio, so he'll need someone else to make motions. But we have not received any public calls, so you could call for a motion to close the public hearing.
Okay, so
I'm happy to make a motion to close the public hearing.
I second that motion.
thank you. Roll call, Robin.
Moore,
Yes.
Beam. I'm gonna do a thumbs up, Brent. I don't know if he can hear me. He's trying to fix his audio. We'll just skip to Lindos.
Yes.
Kaylee
Yes.
and Stone.
Yes.
Okay.
And any other discussion from commissioners? If not, can we get the motion to approve the
We'll need-
zone?
We'll need two separate motions, Chair Stone, one for the rezone and one for the comprehensive plan amendment.
I apologize. Can we get a motion for so can we do them both at the same time, Robin, or do we do them separately?
You have to do them separately.
Okay, so the first motion is for the rezone. Linda.
Motion to approve the rezoning.
I second.
And can we get a roll call, Robin?
Moore? Beam? Okay, that's thumbs up. Lindos?
Yes.
Kaylee?
Yes.
And Stone?
Definitely yes. And can we motion for the comprehensive plan amendment for that site?
Motion to approve the comprehensive plan amendment for this site.
Second the motion.
And can we get a roll call, Robin?
Moore?
Yes.
Beam?
Yes.
There he goes. Lindos?
Yes.
Kaylee?
Yes.
And Stone?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And do we request to motion to open the next agenda? Oh, do we close that agenda item? I'm sorry.
We did.
Okay, all right. So motion to open the next agenda item, which is the request of the South Carlson PUD by force of PUD by CUP to allow the flexibility of the application SFD standards for the roof pitch.
Move to open the next agenda item for Carlson and Carlson planned unit development conditional use permit.
Second the motion.
And a roll
Second.
call, Robin.
Okay, Moore?
Yes.
Beam?
Yes.
Lindos?
Yes.
Kaylee?
Yes.
And Stone?
Yes. And Robin, can you give us an overview of this project, please?
Sure. Thank you, Chair Stone and Commissioners. The applicants are requesting a plan unit development by conditional use permit to deviate from the required 412 pitch, roof pitch, to allow two different roof types for their eco-friendly home. The proposed 312 pitch would accommodate solar panels, and the proposed 112 pitch would accommodate stormwater runoff away from the forest to prevent erosion on the steep forest slope. We did receive one public comment in their favor from their neighbor to the south, and staff is recommending approval of the plan unit development by conditional use permit and related findings of fact, subject to the 3 conditions listed in the report. I don't have any other comments, but would be happy to answer any. I believe Mr. Carlson is on our call as well.
Yep, we're here.
And just for the commission's information, this is a very rare item. We haven't had one, I think, since 2004, but we do do these occasionally. Typically, you'll see these plan unit developments by conditional use permits for larger developments, but in this case, it's a good use because this is a floodplain lot that's heavily forested, so there's very little area to actually build a home. So the applicants have positioned the home outside of the floodplain. They still have to build to floodplain standards just for the location, and because it's, they're trying to do eco-friendly, they have the wood boiler and they have the solar panels planned and the stormwater runoff, trying to address that. It is a good use of this plan unit development by CUP. But we just don't do them very often.
I'd just like to applaud the effort in planning this and preserving the forested lot. Yeah, I think it shows a lot of forethought and a lot of consideration for the area. The fact that the neighbor to the south is, it's a good plan.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Moore, when you turn away, I miss what you say. I don't know if it's your son, but I caught the gist of it, and I wholeheartedly agree that this is looks like a great plan. I have questions that have nothing to do with the planning commission process, because this just looks like a type of home that we want to and welcome to our community. And I kind of want a tour, but that has nothing to do with what we're talking about here.
Well, if you can finish it by May 7th, you can get on the parade of homes.
Yeah, I think we might miss that deadline since I'm sitting in this meeting right now.
Also, we have a 4-day-old.
I think there's one in the fall. Isn't there a September parade of homes or something? I think it's September or October.
Yeah, we'll definitely. We're really...
So sorry. And I guess, are there any other comments, or Robin, or any other public comments?
None.
Oh, I think we've lost audio for you, or at least.
Can you hear me okay?
Sorry, again, you're muted. Sorry, no, we have not received any public comments. I was just checking my email to make sure we hadn't received any of there either, but no public comments.
Only thing I can do is agree with Commissioner Lindas and Moore that I think it's a fantastic response to the environment and being sensitive to that. I think that's, it's a great design, and I certainly wish you guys the best.
Agreed. I look forward to driving by and gawking.
Well, you're all invited when it's done this fall. So, yeah.
And congratulations on the new baby as well.
Thank you.
So do we, I call to close this hearing, Robin, at this point?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, motion to close this hearing?
Move to close and approve the conditional use permit, correct? Is that what we're trying to do here, or we don't even have to address this?
Motion to close at this point.
Just okay, move to close.
Second the motion.
And can we get a roll call, Robin?
Moore?
Yes.
Beam?
Yes.
Lindos?
Yes.
Kaylee?
Yes.
And Stone?
Yes. And is there any other discussion or comments from commissioners? If not, then can we get a motion to approve the PUD by CUP on this agenda item?
Move to approve the planned unit development through conditional use permit.
Second the motion.
And can we get a roll call, please, Robin?
Moore?
Yes.
Beam?
Yes.
Lindos?
Yes.
Kaylee?
Yes.
And Stone?
Yes. And do we have any other business, Robin?
We don't have any more business items, but I just wanted to call attention. I did get a public hearing comment about 10 minutes ago, and it just showed up in my email about the item on Apple Tree Lane. And it was just a concern from a neighbor about on-street parking. They have some tenants that use on-street parking. When we do the plan review for the site, we do not consider on-street parking. All required parking would have to be on the site. If there is on-street parking on Apple Tree Lane, I don't know if it's both sides, one side, it's open to the public. That's not something we can restrict per use. It's kind of, if it's there, it's available. But like I had mentioned to the Townhome Association, the uses that are in the typical shop condos, they're not like retail uses where it needs a lot of parking. It's not a lot of in and out traffic. It's usually the condo owner, maybe one other person, you know, and each unit has a couple spaces essentially in front of their unit, and there might be a couple other spaces on the site. You know, you never know. Somebody might have a party in one of their, you know, like a football screening, and they might need some on-street parking, but again, it is public parking. Just wanted to address that comment.
There probably will not be a lot of vehicles parked, but it's the type of vehicles may become a frustration for the neighborhood.
Right.
It'll be larger sort of panel trucks, work trucks, things like that. Just based on his layout, it seems like he has enough room to accommodate on site, but that may not happen.
Yeah.
So the neighbors aren't really wrong to be concerned about that.
Yep. And again, you know, the parking, we do have parking regulations for commercial vehicles about how long they can be left on the street, you know, for a 24-hour period. So if that becomes an issue with like contractor vehicles, you know, that could be addressed through our other city code. So, and then as for other items, we don't have any other business, but I did want to mention, staff would like to invite the Planning Commission to a joint workshop with the City Council to talk about the comprehensive plan update. And we have that scheduled for May 24th at 4:30. It's an hour before the May 24th City Council meeting. Essentially, our consultant will be there from Stantec to give you an update about where we are in the process, what we've discovered so far, and then talk about next steps. Because we are, oh gosh, May, we're almost to midpoint of the process. We're not going to be done till early spring next year, but we've made quite a bit of progress thus far. So I just wanted to let you know about that. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about, and maybe I'll send it an email and do kind of a poll, is future Planning Commission meetings. Council is starting to open up their public meetings to the public with some limited seating. So I'll send an email and just see if anyone is interested. We can start doing hybrid meetings at the Yomcomp Center, where some people can be in the meet room, some people can continue to do the WebEx meetings. It's really up to you how you'd like to do that. So I'll send you an email on that, and we can start talking about that for the May and the June meetings. I will be returning to the office in May because I get my second vaccine next week, so I'm excited about that. So we'll get some normalcy in our meetings, but you just let me know what you're comfortable with for the public meetings going forward for May and June. That is all that I have.
Robin, I have a question that's totally synergistic with what you just talked about. I think one of the best scientific practices would be to allow, in-person participation for those that are fully vaccinated. And I know for myself, but also just for looking out for other people, the new COVID variants that are popping up are actually more problematic for even younger people. And so I don't know if there's a way to stipulate or kind of control the attendance that we might have.
I can talk to staff about that, and I don't think we've put any regulations on who can come to the public meetings because obviously they're public meetings. But I think it's really for you as commissioners, it's your comfort level. We can continue to do these WebExes as long as you like. I can, I'm going to be vaccinated, so I can maybe start going to the Yomcomp Center in case we do have public people that would like to attend, in limited quantities. Some of you haven't been to the chambers for meetings, but the Yomcomp's auditorium is much larger. So we've got the seating spread out. So we'll talk about it. You do what you feel comfortable, and I'll get an update from staff about vaccinations and all that fun stuff.
So I had another question, since this is the Planning Commission. It's really primarily dealing with codes and zoning. issues, and there is some legislation working its way through the House and Senate having to do with commercial building energy efficiency codes. And so I'm not sure if those are the kind of things that potentially as an informational item that we should be aware of, and because it impacts us in different ways in this community.
Sure. Well, we have pretty good communication with the League of Minnesota Cities. So anything that's going to affect city codes, building codes, I think that's more to do with building codes. But there is some other legislation trying to make its way through about limiting local zoning control. So that would directly affect the Planning Commission more so than the energy codes would with the building permit. But anything, if anything changes, I'll definitely keep the commission apprised of what's going on. But we do have staff on it, and we're working closely with the League of Minnesota Cities to keep us updated.
Yeah, and I was going to say, in response to what I just said, you're correct. Anything dealing with the actual building itself is typically handled by the building inspections or the building department, where zoning is more dealing with land use. But yeah, so and it actually depends on the type of building also, because that different for residential than commercial, or depending on building. But I just want to say thank you, Robin. Appreciate all your time, help, and effort here. So thank you.
Welcome.
And with that said, if there's no other questions or comments, can we get a motion to adjourn, please?
A move to adjourn.
Second.
And we don't need a roll call for that, do we, Robin?
We do not. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good
night, everyone.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Good night.